Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our lead story of the day is regarding the White House press pool clashing with Karine Jean-Pierre regarding Joe Biden having classified documents in places where he ain't supposed to be having them. Now, let me tell you something, folks. These people showed up today. They were being confrontational. They were pushing back, and boy, oh boy, were they fighting for answers. This is an episode you ain't going to want to miss. Support us by hitting that like and subscribe button, leaving us a short, sweet comment down below, and just double checking to make sure YouTube didn't go into your profile without you knowing and change that bell icon to say personalized. It's supposed to say all notifications, folks. Double check to make sure they didn't swindle you and do anything shady behind the scenes without you knowing. Your help and support would be greatly appreciated. Well, we got our first reporter here lined up for you, nice and ready to go, asking about these classified documents that Joe Biden supposedly knew nothing about. Let's go ahead and roll it.
A couple of specific questions regarding the discovery of apparently documents marked classified in the president's former office. The president acknowledged yesterday that he had been briefed that those documents had been found. When was he briefed that those documents had been found?
So let me just lay this down a little bit because there's some, just for folks who happen to not be following this. Look, the president addressed this issue yesterday. He addressed it on in Mexico City on a world stage in front of many of you at a press conference with two of our closest neighbors, as you all know. And he said he takes classified documents and information seriously. He was surprised to learn any records had been found there. He doesn't know what was in them. He said this, just repeating what the president has said. As soon as his lawyers realized these documents were there, they did the right thing and immediately turned them over to the archives. As he said, his team is cooperating fully with the review. And we also released a statement from the White House counsel's office, as you know, on Monday, which had information, detailed information about the particular situation. As my colleagues in the council have stated and said to all of you yesterday, that this is an ongoing process under the review of the Department of Justice. So we are going to be limited on what we can say here. But as the president told you, as my colleagues have said to many of you, we are committed to doing the right thing, doing this in the right way, and we will provide further details when it's appropriate.
You mentioned you want to do this the right way. Presumably that means the transparent way. So my question was, when was the president briefed? He said he was briefed. When did that briefing happen?
Again, I'm not going to get into details. I'm not going to get beyond what the president shared yesterday. He laid out what he knew when he knew it. He laid out how important it is. He sees it seriously, very seriously when it comes to taking classified documents and information. I'm just not going to, I know you all are going to have a lot of questions on this, but at this time I'm not going to go beyond what the president said yesterday. I'm not going to go beyond what my colleagues from the White House counsel shared with many of you as well on Monday. And so I'm just going to leave it there. Want to be prudent here and make sure that it is that my colleagues really truly handle this issue.
One more stab at this, because again, this is a lot of importance to people. The president mentioned that handling of classified information is important. These documents were discovered on November 2nd. This didn't become public until my colleagues at CBS News reported this on Monday. That's more than 2 months later. Why was the public not informed while the White House prepared its PR response for 2 months?
Again, this was under review. This is under review by the Department of Justice. I'm not going to go beyond what the president shared yesterday. I'm not going to go beyond what my colleagues at the White House.
I'm smelling cover up, folks. They knew about this before the midterms. They knew about this before the election, and they withheld it from everybody for multiple months. And I love it. She goes, well, when the lawyers found out, we did the right thing. We handed them over. We did the right thing. But yet when Trump had classified documents, you were all freaking out. He's a treason. He's treason. Lock him up. Get the investigations going. We need to have the power of the government with unfettered access to the former president, Mr. 45, and everything that he has. Release the documents. Release his taxes. You see the double standard here. You see the silliness of it. By the way, this is an administration that said they're going to be the most transparent administration that's ever existed. She's going to be the clearest she could possibly be. She ain't being clear at all. It's a bunch of smoke, a bunch of cockamamie that's coming out of her mouth.
Council shared with all of you as well. Look, what you received from the White House counsel on Monday had complete details, a lot of details to all of you on what occurred, and just not going to get beyond that. It is, again, an ongoing process. We're going to respect the process. As the president said, his team handled it the right way, and we're just not going to get ahead of the process from here.
Thanks, Karine. Have you spoken to the president about these documents and their discovery?
I have not spoken. Well, first of all, I have not spoken to the president about any of this specifically because he's laid out what he knows. He has said he doesn't know what is in them, so there's no way for me to talk about the documents if he has said he doesn't know what's in them. And we're just going to allow the process to continue.
So for the sake of the American public who want these questions asked and answered, would the president characterize what happened here as a mistake? Would this White House characterize this as a mistake?
What I'll say is this is an ongoing process. You heard from the president. He spoke about this in detail yesterday in front of, on a world stage, in front of many of you who were there, in front of many of your colleagues. He laid out what he knew. He said that he seriously, he takes this seriously when it comes to classified documents, when it comes to information that is classified. He was surprised to learn about the records had been there. And again, he believes that the lawyers did the right thing, and they immediately turned them over to the
And
archives.
the president saying that he was surprised to learn about these documents. Is he saying that he did not bring those documents to that office?
I'm just not going to go beyond what the president said.
Do we know who did bring those documents to the office?
I'm not going to go beyond what the president
But
said.
you're saying you want to be transparent, do things the right way. We're
Yes,
not going to get any more answers.
and his team of lawyers did do that. They did the right thing by turning over the documents to the archives. That's what they did once they.
So you're slowly seeing this buildup from these reporters throughout this whole press briefing. And that was kind of the introduction because I wanted to see you lead in the fact of she's not being clear. They're contradicting themselves in terms of the White House, not the reporters themselves. The reporters are trying to get their questions answers of what she's not doing. She's saying, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. The president said this. The president said that. And again, you can't say that you're going to be the most transparent administration in history. And now when something doesn't go your way, all of a sudden you're not going to be transparent whatsoever. And she keeps dodging their questions left and right. And you get to the point where honestly, they just get kind of fed up with it all. And, then they start clashing with her, which is exactly what happens here. Let's go ahead and roll it.
On the documents case, again, you've laid out that the president's lawyers and the special counsel are dealing with the legal side of this. You've now laid out that you have not had a conversation with the president about this. But this was reported Monday. It happened in November. Are you aware of any conversation in the West Wing among others, people other than the president, about disclosing this once it was discovered?
What I can say is I was asked by your colleague if we talked about the documents themselves. The president said he does not know what was in them, right? But also just wanted to clear that up. I understand you guys are going to have a lot of questions on this. I get that. I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions on process and specifics. And what I can tell you is that I'm not going to go beyond what the president laid out.
I want to pause it here because I know I chop up the press briefing for you all and kind of give you the highlights and the snippets that you need to know about. She was echoing the same exact thing the entire time. Well, I knew you guys were going to have questions. I knew you had questions about this. She doesn't know a damn thing. She didn't even have conversations really with the president in terms of kind of the specifics of it all. So she can't get into the specifics, nor could she be clear, nor could she be transparent, which is amazing. You knew that this was going to be the biggest news all week. And you don't have any answers for anybody, and they get fed up with it, which you're going to see Ed here. Oh boy, does he push back, and he gives her a little bit of sass, and I love it. Let's continue.
I'm not going to go beyond what my White House counsel colleagues have stated. I would refer you to them for any other specifics or additional information. I want to be prudent here. I want to make sure that we do this in the appropriate way.
We're going to ask them because that's our job.
I understand, and my job is to answer your questions. So here we go. Let's go.
We asked this is because on day 2 of this administration, when he swore all of you in, the president said, quote, I'm going to make mistakes. When I make them, I'll acknowledge them, and I'll tell you. And I'll need your help to help me correct them. So you're the one here talking to us about this. That's why we're asking you. So let's just remember that. When he was asked yesterday,
Ed, we don't need to have this. We work very well together.
We do.
We don't need to have this kind of confrontation. Ask your question, and I will answer them the best that I can.
Part of the reason we're laying that out is because you're laying out your part of the job.
I know, but I'm just saying that we don't need to have contention. You don't need to be contentious with me here, Ed.
The president was asked yesterday, but did not answer this part of the question. Why didn't he or someone in the White House inform the American people when these documents were discovered on November 2nd? Did it have anything to do, because people are asking this part of it, did it have anything to do with the fact that the election was just a few days away?
Again, Ed, this is under review by the Department of Justice. It is literally under review right now. As I am talking to you, it is under review. So I'm not going to get beyond the process. I'm not going to get beyond what the president said. Look, the White House counsel, my colleagues in the White House counsel, laid out a very detailed information about what this particular issue on Monday. You all have that. I'm just not going to get beyond that. The Department of Justice is independent, as you know. They're doing a review, and I want to be prudent here. And it would be more appropriate. It would be more appropriate for my colleagues in the White House counsel's office to address this.
Then we walk into the briefing room and we hope they can come soon to discuss this. But there's another thing. There was nothing stopping the President of the United States from disclosing the discovery of these classified documents in his former office before it was under Justice Department review.
What I can tell you right now is what the president is share with you what the president said to all of you, right? Which is he was surprised by this. He definitely, truly respects the process here, and also when it comes to classified, he takes classified documents very seriously, and.
You got to admit, folks, the messaging is just. It's unbelievable from this administration. The way they literally have done nothing but lie to the American people from day one. That's all they do is lie. And I'm just calling them out because they're Democrats. That's all they have literally done. And the press are waking up to it. They're going, you said that, hey, if he's going to make mistakes, he wants us to call it out so that he can correct it and he'll call it out himself. So you have a prior opportunity to say there was a massive mistake that happened. Oopsie, we're willing to forgive you. We understand, even though you weren't willing to forgive Trump, even though you said Trump was committing treason and all this other stuff with it. But now when it's brought to light that the same exact thing happened to you guys, all of a sudden, well, he respects the process. We're going to let it play out. We got the council involved. Your questions can go to the council, even though I'm the mouthpiece of the president, the leader of the free world. You know, all these, it's so stupid and it's tiresome. I know it's tiresome for all of you. But we have to have this on tape, folks. We still have to talk about it. We still have to bring it to light and see the same exact line of not just questions, but also the way she gives her answers is the exact same to every reporter. It's ridiculous. But let's Ed finish up here.
Again, I'm going to leave you to the information that the president provided to all of you, and also just yesterday, in front of many of you or your colleagues, and also what my White House counsel colleagues shared on Monday.
The leaders of the Senate Intelligence Committee today, like they did after the raid at Mar-a-Lago, have asked that the Director of National Intelligence conduct a national security assessment of this apparent discovery of classified information. Has the president asked for one, or are you aware of the ODNI?
I would refer you to Department of Justice here. This is
Department of Justice doesn't handle national security.
I would refer you to Department of Justice on this particular issue that's being reviewed currently.
On whether the Office of Director of National Intelligence is conducting a national security
when it
assessment?
comes to the review that we are currently speaking of right now, of these classified documents, I would refer you to Department of Justice. Go ahead.
So she's not going to let him finish. He had plenty of questions. He did great, you guys. For the love of God, that man did actually really good. Just because the press, we didn't necessarily like them under Trump. We gave them a lot of, pushback and stuff like that, which it was deserved, right? The way they treated the man, the way they handled it. They're doing a fabulous job here. And that's what I want to highlight here. There are good reporters. I know Trump says, it's fake news, right? It's all sick. Look at CNN in the back, right? Jim Acosta, where you at, Jim? Jim, are you here? You're sick, Jim. There was things that they did bad, but there's also a lot of things that they do good, you guys. And I think that's why I wanted to give them a platform to be able to get their questions out there. We can cover it and we can call out the lies from the administration, no matter who it is, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, whoever it's going to be. We're going to sit there and be there and cover it all. Well, this line of questioning continues, and I believe it's by MSNBC in terms of transparency and kind of the president, in terms of him being non-transparent with it all. She's not being transparent. She's not being clear. Well, this line of questioning continues here. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Karine, thank you so much. President Biden campaigned on a promise to stay true to the spirit of transparency. Why then, how is it possible that the White House did not reveal the presence of these documents prior to the election when they were found?
Again, the president spoke to this personally yesterday. You heard him at the press conference. He laid out He laid out what he knew, and he talked about how important and how he sees this as a serious matter when it comes to classified documents and information. He talked about about how he was surprised to learn about the records that had been found there, and he laid out his process and his thoughts. I'm just not going to go beyond that. Again, we released information that was very transparent, meaning the information that you all got received from the White House counsel's office. And I know you all are going to have a lot of questions. I get that and I understand that, but I'm not going to go beyond the process that's currently happening at the DOJ.
Does it undercut the president's promise of transparency that these documents were not revealed for several months after the White House discovered them?
But look, so when his lawyers realized that these documents were there, they turned them over to the archives. They did the right thing. They turned them over. All I can say is
she not listening? Does she wear a hearing? And I don't mean this disrespectfully. Like, does Karine Jean-Pierre, does she wear like a hearing aid? Because the amount of questions she gets from day in and day out and either misinterprets them or doesn't hear them or gets them wrong or just makes up her own question and then answers that question that she made up. Like, it is honest to God, it's astonishing. I've really never seen anything like it. I watch a lot of press briefings. I've seen press briefings from a lot of presidents. I, hand to God, have never seen somebody so bad at their job than this individual right here. Jen Psaki was bad, but God, this lady takes the cake out of any president in terms of the White House press secretary speaking on their behalf. Like, this one takes the cake, folks. Well, the lawyers found it. Why didn't we all know about it then? If you knew about it, why didn't you tell us? That was what the questions have been about this entire time. Why didn't we know about it before the elections? Maybe that would have swung things, but no, you held on to it for months. Imagine if Trump did that. If Trump knew about it, which maybe he did or didn't, we don't really know. Well, hey, there's a conversation to be had there. But now the shifting of the tide has turned to you guys doing the exact same thing that man did, but all of a sudden, oh, he's serious about it and all these other things. He didn't know about what was in it, which could be true, by the way. The guy doesn't even remember what he ate for lunch the freaking same day that he just woke up on. So to imagine that he would actually know what's in classified documents from like 8 years ago, I don't think so.
What the president said yesterday, I would refer to his comments. But they did the right thing by, once they learned of them, they turned it over. They turned it over to the archives.
About it, Karine.
Again,
That's the question.
I understand the question, but there is an ongoing process. It's being reviewed by the Department of Justice. Just when it is appropriate for us to say more, we will. Otherwise, I would refer you to the White House counsel's office.
I do want to be very clear about something you said, make sure I understand you. Following up on one of my colleagues who asked you, you have not spoken to the president about this? Weren't you traveling with him when he made this public statement?
The way I heard the question is, have you talked to the president about the documents? And he doesn't know what's in the documents. That's the way I heard the question, so that's the way I was answering the question.
Talk to him about the revelation of these documents.
Yes, we've talked about the CBS story. We talked about the revelation of the documents, obviously. But about the documents itself, what's in them, that is something that the president doesn't even know. And I'm just going to leave it there.
Okay, has he conveyed?
We listened to that question together. We actually covered that in this same exact episode here. If you haven't seen that, go back to the prior segments that we covered here. What? That's how you read that question? Was, did you talk to him about the things that were inside the documents? Like, what? That's how you read that question from the reporter? Are you an idiot? Oh my God. Let's be transparent here on the Bald Brad Show. If you, hand to God, if that's how you read the question as well, and that's how you would answer it, please leave me a comment down below. I no hassle here. I just want to get a sample of how many of the viewers themselves read the question the way that she answered it, because then I'm wrong. And I'm more than happy to say, hey, look, I was wrong. Clearly, a lot of people thought the same thing she did, and I'm willing to take it. I'm willing to take the hit. We all make mistakes. That's the crazy thing here. We all make mistakes, and we just have to own up to it. I make mistakes all the time. Just yesterday, I said 250,000 migrants a day, and I meant the month, and I'm sure you guys can fill in the gaps of what I meant by it, of like, oh, I'm just talking really fast. My brain's going 1,000 miles an hour. I'm already thinking about the segments that are coming forward. There's a lot of things that are going on when you're doing the show all by yourself, switching clips yourself, you're monitoring the episode yourself, you're checking the time yourself. There's a lot of things that I have to keep track of that's going on here, so my brain's going 1,000 miles an hour. So thank you for being understanding of the fact that obviously I didn't mean 250,000 a day. I meant per month, but I still made a mistake. So, if somebody called me out going, oh, well, you're an idiot, man. There's not 250,000 coming across a day. Obviously, I know that, but I'm rambling. I'm going quick. It's all off the cuff. It's all off the top of the head. We make it work here at the Bald Brad Show. But hell, this lady here, let me know, folks. Let me know if you read that one too, the way she did.
To you when he was briefed? And if not, can you go back and get that answer for us?
I've not talked to the president about that. What I can tell you is I know you all have a lot of questions. There is an ongoing process here, and so I'm just going to let the process.
All right, so as you can see, it's the same thing over and over again, which coming up, we have the gladiator here, Fox News, Peter Doocy, coming in hot, going, you know what? She's not answering anybody's questions. She's acting dumb about everything. And he's had a certain approach of really just fighting back, coming in hard on Karine Jean-Pierre. And there's a lot of those Peter Doocy destroys Karine Jean-Pierre videos, which we've done here on the Bald Brad show. And she realized she can't compete with this guy and that he's going to sit there and craft questions in a way that's going to get a gotcha moment for her. Well, watch the way that he questions her here. It's him being condescending and asking really good questions, but just, it's so hard to describe his tone. You just really have to see the way he does this, folks. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Please do so. It really does help the channel. Make sure you watch our videos all the way through without skipping ahead. Watch it till the end. It helps the algorithm send these videos out to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So your help and support would be greatly appreciated on that end. But watch the way Peter Doocy, he asks a litany of questions here on a range of different topics, but you can tell it gets under her skin a little bit with the way that he phrases it and the tone that he asks it in. Let's go ahead and watch it.
Thank you, Karine. First, does President Biden have confidence in Transportation Secretary Buttigieg?
Yes.
Why?
Because Secretary Buttigieg he respects the secretary and the work that he has been doing. You have seen the secretary on TV. You have probably spoken to him yourself, and they are doing everything that they can to make sure that the experience that Americans have is a good one. That's why they've held the airlines accountable. You've seen the secretary do that over and over again, and we understand. We understand what Americans have been going through these past couple of months. That's why the secretary has been very clear on making sure that they are held accountable, has put in processes in place to make sure that occurs. And yes, the president has confidence in Secretary.
Folks, tell me that wasn't a BS answer. She said nothing. Well, he's been on TV before. Okay, like what? What does that have to do with anything? Well, he's held the airline companies accountable. Really? Okay, can you give me like a list of like other things he's done in the past 2 years as a transportation secretary other than being on TV and holding the airlines accountable over maybe like 2 events? Like, what? She just rambled for like 30 seconds and gave us nothing. She gave us nothing. Should we expect anything more from this administration? I don't think so. I don't think so.
And then on these documents, how could anyone be that irresponsible? Isn't that what this president says about mishandling classified documents?
The president spoke to this personally. He spoke to this personally. He believes that classified documents and information should be taken seriously. He takes them seriously, and he was surprised to learn by any records have been. I disagree. Here's what happened. Once
Then
his.
why is there a Justice Department?
Well, let me explain to you the process. Here's what happened when his lawyers found out that the documents were there. They immediately turned them over to their archives.
But they were
But
there
they
in the first
immediately
place. I understand
turned them
that
over
they-
to the
you say they
archives.
did the right thing
I'm not
when they
gonna
figured it out.
go into specifics, but what I am reiterating to you is what you heard from the president yourself.
I'm not going to go into specifics, but you just saw like 3 or 4 reporters in the other segments of today's episode. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. Literally talk about how you said that you were going to be transparent. You said you're going to be like the most transparent administration that's ever been. Transparent this, transparent that. Clear this, clear that. And then you're going to say, well, I'm not going to give you the specifics of it. All the while, this entire press briefing, you literally been saying that you knew that they're going to have these questions about this whole thing of him having classified documents when he wasn't supposed to be having them, especially after what you just said about Trump having classified documents. Are you kidding me? And you're not going to be specific and go, well, you got to talk to the council. I don't know. I'm not going to get ahead of the president here. He didn't know what was in the documents. The president doesn't know his ass from his freaking mouth. So, this whole thing of like, I'm not going to be specific. We're transparent, but we're not going to be transparent. It's so head spinning. It's ridiculous. And your friends that are Democrats are silent about it. Everybody's silent on the fact that this administration, this White House press secretary sucks at her job, and we never get any answers. And they know it. And that's why the press are pushing back here, folks. Just continue with Peter Doocy here, because I love the way he starts asking these questions, because he's fed up too.
Peter, which is how he saw the process and how he respects and truly respects and takes this very seriously, and when he knew and how surprised he was by it, and the actions that the right actions that the lawyers took. Again, this is under is under review by the Department of Justice, and we're going to let that process.
I love how she's making the reference of how surprised he was. The homie's surprised whenever he ties his shoes or he puts a shoe on the right foot. Okay, don't give me this whole thing of like, well, he was surprised by it. The dude's surprised the fact that he's still alive every day when he wakes up. So come on. It's silly. It's silly.
Let's continue.
How can President Biden be trusted moving forward with America's secrets?
Because his lawyers, his team did the right thing.
But he had a closet with
His
classified
lawyers
information in
did
it
the
that
right.
they found. How did it get there?
Again,
Did the
he
lawyers
did.
do
He
the
was
right thing?
surprised that the records were there. He spoke to this
That they were
personally.
there?
He was surprised that the records were there, and when
I'll let her finish, but you guys gotta love the way that he asked that question, right? How can he be entrusted with America's secrets? Right? Because this is the whole spiel that they were doing with Trump, right? This is the whole spiel of how they handled Trump. This is the whole spiel of how they handled that whole news outlet, that whole news story about it. And so now he's really kind of crafting it a way of like, well, this is what you guys were saying about him. This is what you're saying about people handling classified documents, and they should never be entrusted once again with the future of the presidency, the future of the holding of the office. You know, we shouldn't allow him to run again. So now he's spinning it and he's asking it in a condescending way to her. And she might be picking up on it here, which because she was kind of smirking a little bit too. But damn, that was funny. And Peter did a great job there with that great question.
and his lawyers found out, and his team found out that they were there, they turned it over to their archives, and now it's being reviewed by the Department of Justice.
And just one more. Why didn't President Biden want to see what's really going on at the border?
He did see exactly what's going on at the border.
He didn't talk to any migrants, and he didn't go anywhere that people actually cross illegally. Why not?
But he went to the migrant center, which was a critical place to be when you think about the partners who are our partners who are helping support the migrants on the ground there. There happened to be no migrants at the facility at the time that he visited. But let's
because El Paso has been crushed. The shelters are full. There are overflow migrants sleeping in the streets, and then it's just a coincidence that suddenly the president shows up and.
Well, let me talk about what's going on in El Paso, right? El Paso did go down significantly prior to the president's visit by about 70%. And that's a good thing, Peter. That's a good thing that we've seen the numbers go down. And that is something that we should be saying, okay, that's a good job.
You guys, do you see the spinning manipulation here? Well, he sat there, went to the border. He visited a migrant center. And it just so happens, right? You heard her. It just so happens there was no migrants there. Really? Really? Texas and Arizona that have seen 250,000 illegal immigrants a month. You're telling me just happenstance, the guy showed up on the exact day, the exact hour. It just turns out nobody on the streets anymore. There wasn't thousands of people camped out. There wasn't thousands of illegals everywhere. No. You guys, you got to be kidding me. Nobody's that dumb. Everybody sees what's going on. That's why I'm telling you, they're gaslighting everybody. That's why gaslighting was Webster's dictionary #1 word last year, was gaslighting. It's because of this woman right here, lying to everybody about what actually took place. He was there for 3 hours. And it's not just Republicans that are pissed. Democrats are pissed too, because Democrats are dealing with this in Texas as well. You had the Border Patrol pissed as well because he wasn't willing to meet with leaders. There was literally congressmen and women in El Paso that wanted to meet with the president to help figure this out so they could speak up for their constituents, and they said they didn't have space. The White House said they didn't have space. A place in the desert, there's no space. Nope, can't fit them all. You guys, this is unbelievable. Like I said, this is the worst. This is the worst administration in terms of a White House press secretary speaking on behalf of the leader of the free world. I'm not just saying that because they're Democrat. If somebody this was a Republican, I would say the exact same thing. I don't care who the hell you are. You're terrible at your job, and she sucks. And boy, oh boy, is she lying to everybody and manipulating and spinning this one big time.
There. It has helped ease pressure all across the community, but the president's visit had nothing to do with it. And so, look, again, he went to a migrant center. He went to one of the busiest port of entry, which is in El Paso. And so the president got to see. He went to the border. He got to see for himself. We've always been very clear that he was going to talk to the people on the ground who's working on the border, and that's what you saw. You saw him meet with the CBP. You saw him meet with partners on the ground, as I just stated, who deal with migrants and their families. And the president also is going to continue to call on Congress to take action. Look, the president has been doing the work. And if you think about the record funding, he has done more than any prior prior president to secure the border and build a safe, orderly, and humane immigration system. And that's what the president has been able to do. We've got 23,000 agents working to secure the border, and we'll soon be hiring 300 more. That's what the president has done here. And so, again, he went down there, he saw for himself, and I'll just leave it there.
Literally, Border Patrol came out and said that he actually didn't see anything. He didn't even go to the main parts of the border that are actually the most impacted. And they cleared out all the illegal immigrants that were in the vicinity, in the area. He actually didn't meet any. He literally, with his own eyes, did not see any illegal immigrants. Let that sink in. A place that's been swarmed for a long time. He didn't see a single one. All the trash was picked up. They combed through the dirt. They were like sifting it, trying to find any needles or anything to make sure the president didn't step on one. I mean, you guys, the lying is just, it's so unbelievable. My question is that how does the press not just laugh? It is so laughable. I was laughing. Hell, if I wasn't doing this, I would still be laughing. But the fact that I have to talk a new commentary on it, I can't. It's a clown show. It is so funny to me that literally we're sitting here and it's like we're living in a reality TV show where you have this lady that gets paid $180,000 plus benefits to speak on behalf of the leader of the free world, to spin and manipulate and just straight up lie to the press. How are they not acting like us going, what? What? I would think it'd be freaking great for Peter Doocy to be like, you gotta be kidding, and just start laughing. Just hysterically laugh because it is such a joke and a clown show. If she's gonna treat it like a joke and not answer any of your questions, if she's not gonna be transparent and treat you guys with a dignity of respect and actually give you an honest answer every now and then, you should just laugh it off. Just start making fun of it. Ask stupid questions. Hey, when'd you get your hair done? Where'd you get that dress? I guarantee you she'll answer that one. But boy, oh boy, anything about politics or the president, man, they got the stuff on a freaking wrap, folks. There's a lid on this. They're not letting anything out. If they're doing this type of behavior for 2 years, and they haven't talked anything about his physical or mental cognition or him actually having a test to test his dementia or whatever's in place there going on up here, there's some weird, shady stuff going on behind the scenes with this administration. They all thought Trump was bad. Oh boy, if you just looked under the hood. I'm telling you, the deep state is so freaking swarmed into this one. It is mind-bending on how much is not being let out to the American people. Imagine what you are not being told. And people are like, that's a conspiracy theory. Look at what happened with Twitter. Look what happened with the FBI, the White House, everybody else working in conjunction with Twitter, not allowing information to be out. It was suppressed. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. I know you guys are as great as I am. You're frustrated. Some of you think it's funny as I do. It's such a gong show, and we got 2 years of this. We haven't even been around for 2 years on the Bald Brad Show. I believe it was February when we started the show 2 years ago. So we're coming up on an anniversary here. We've been dealing with this since day one. But thank you always for joining us. Thank you always for hitting that like and subscribe, making sure that bell icon says all notifications, walking all the way through. We love you to death here, folks, at the Bald Brad Show. We got some goodies coming up in February for y'all. I know I've been talking about this for months, just making sure everything's in order and is prepared. I don't want to release anything without it actually being good or up to the standard that I want it to be. So remember, I'm a single man here in the sense of I'm running the show by myself. Everything that I do and build is by myself. There's no team with me. There's nobody doing this. I work 3 jobs. Just know I'm doing the best of my ability. I love doing this. I love all of you guys. We got a heck of a community here. Try to gather more of that community to join us here on the Bald Brad Show. And folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on the Bald Brad Show.